Welcome to Desk, the digital electronics supply chain channel on LinkedIn. Our goal is to provide you useful and independent information about the entire electronics industry from design to the end of life, with a special focus, of course, on digitalization. My name is Georg Steinberger. Changes on or the obsolescence of running products is a nightmare for customers who expect these products to run through the entire life cycle of their applications. Another nightmare is the process of communicating these changes, for example, via PCN. There have been efforts to improve the process for as long as I can remember, the latest one being Smart-PCN. The best person to explain to us what's going on in the PCN game is Wolfgang Heinbach, Managing Partner at Syliom Consulting. Hello, Wolfgang.
Hello, Georg.
Wolfgang, good to have you. Please do me a favor and give us your 30 seconds elevator pitch on Syliom Consulting.
Okay, so Syliom stands for Systemic Lifecycle Obsolescence and Material Compliance Management. So that's all in that word, Syliom. And so now those processes for obsolescence, for lifecycle and material management, they cannot be implemented isolated in a company. They involve many people, the way they work together, the tools they use, the data they use, and so on, everything they have and they need for their work. So, and that's what we do. So we support companies for systemic implementation and optimization of the lifecycle obsolescence and material compliance management. And one of my focuses is, of course, PCN, so how to work with the product changes, product discontinuation, and the whole process that is involved with this, and also my work in the IC standardization regarding those topics.
Excellent. So let's start right into the PCN discussion. What is the current dilemma with the existing PCN process? Maybe you can enlighten us a little bit. There's a supply chain, manufacturers, distributors, customers. What's the biggest problem here?
Okay, you know, Georg, I would like to start with an example. Just imagine each photographer takes pictures and they would use a different and self-defined digital format instead of JPEG, for example. So the only way to exchange those pictures would be printouts or maybe some converters that you use, but it would not be possible really to bring them from A to B without knowing what kind of format the photograph is using. And that exactly is the PCN dilemma. So each manufacturer, and sometimes even the different business units within a manufacturer, they use their own formats. And that's great for the manufacturer, sending this out to their customers. But it's not great for the customers because they receive a lot of different formats from different manufacturers. And what they have to do, I mean, they have the pain to read them and to look how do we get the information that is in there into their system. Now, this process is mostly done manually. So we need people to do it. And it's actually, I think it's a kind of a donkey work that you have to do. And it's a waste of a brain power. Because you have to read those things. Now, many people think, well, we receive those by email and receive those by PDF. But actually, a PDF just regulates what is the format of the PDF, but it does not look into the content. Yeah. And that's the point. So when we talk about a digital standard for PCNs, then we need a digital standard that really has the content of the PCN, like the part numbers, the lifecycle data, the changes that apply, available directly in data fields.
I understand.
So that's the dilemma.
Knowing about the situation a little bit from the distributor side, I always thought that there is also a legal implication. So if, as a distributor, for example, you receive PCNs from manufacturers and pass them on to customers as PDF via email or whatever, this is a format you have to use to avoid legal implications. If we as a distributor would change the format of manufacturers' information or present the content in a different form, we may actually incur a legal liability. Is that, from your experience, is that true or is that just a wrong assumption?
Well, I mean, first of all, if all the manufacturers would provide Smart-PCN, then you would have it much, much easier as a distributor. Because you could take the digital format and of course you have all the document that's then attached to it, and just select those parts that are important for this one. Or for the specific customer, like maybe specific part numbers. So you would by itself not change the format. You would just pick out the information that you need. And by the way, you would not have to read those and to extract the information by yourself because you get it already handy. Yeah, so that's the point.
You can process it via a computer. Right.
Absolutely. I mean, you take a Smart-PCN and check, you put it into your computers and your databases, and then directly you are able to create, again, a Smart-PCN with all the data in it. And then attach maybe some other information that's provided, like data sheets, like other information, so like drawings, things like this, as they has been provided by the manufacturer. So from the legal point of view, I think it would be a huge benefit using Smart-PCN, this digital format, also within the distribution when you get those from the manufacturer.
Of course. Let me make another assumption. I think the process of standardizing and digitalizing PCNs are two steps. One is, if you want to digitalize something, you first have to have a standard. So let's speak a little bit about that. Since when is the standardization of PCNs ongoing, and which organization actually is responsible for? I'm not quite clear at a global level who really drives that.
Yeah, so first of all, when we look at the standardization regarding PCN, I think the work that JEDEC had done in the 2000 years to define really what is necessary from the content, not from a digital perspective, but from the content, what do you need to provide? And that, of course, relates a lot to the electronic industry, semiconductor industry, and so on. So, and then later on, you have also the database providers. So that's also thought about how can we provide kind of PCN information that we receive from the manufacturers. But of course, they have their own methods and formats, and they are, of course, useful for their specific customer, but it would be very difficult for a customer then to change to another provider when they are adjusted to their formats. And this is the reason why the Component Obsolescence Group of Germany, which is a chapter of the International Institute of Obsolescence Management, I think they started more than 10 years ago to analyze thousands of PCNs. What is the content of those PCNs? How does this work? Which standards are available? And then they created this Smart-PCN standard, which is specifically designed for PCNs. And it's based really on those thousands of different PCNs and information, as well, of course, of the JEDEC specification. So in 2017, the Smart-PCN standard has been already standardized by a German community, which is the community of the machine builders, because they have also the pain with the PCNs. And this is now the VDMA standard, and it's known as the VDMA 24903. That's a digital standard. It's the description of the Smart-PCN standard in a standardized document, and it's also available in English language. And now, of course, we do the standardization of the Smart-PCN within the IEC 62402. Then as a part 3, and we expect to have this maybe available in 2 or 3 years. Standardization always takes a long time because of all those loops you have to create and to insert. But then it will be available for the industry. And the big benefit is that you can also insert the need of a digital PCN into your procurement contracts.
Okay, that sounds great. But let me repeat that. So one German organization, VDMA, accepted the Smart-PCN standard so far worldwide.
Yes.
The first and the only organization that actually adopted it.
They brought it out as a standard. So of course we have companies, they already adopted it and use it, but it's not enough. I mean, if you just think about how many thousand and 100,000 of companies you have, so it would be great they would adapt it. And you know, for the manufacturer, it's always the same problem, or maybe not a problem. I mean, they have developed their tools, they have developed their processes to create PCNs. So they would have to change that. And of course, then also the users need to maybe tools. I mean, there are free tools available to read a PCN and to look at the content of those. So that's not the point. But you have to bring the manufacturers. And the only way you can bring the manufacturers to provide PCNs are the customers. They have to request it. The customers have to learn and to understand that it is a huge benefit for them. They will save thousands of working hours using the Smart-PCN digital format. And we have companies, we have users of Smart-PCN, like really the number one EMS in Germany. And they have used it, and they have brought down the whole throughput time, or the throughput time down from more than 20 days down to 4 days by using Smart-PCN, with even the highest number of PCNs they have ever received.
Okay, that's a good point. Let me intercept here. Can you, from your experience, give us an idea of what the scope of the problem actually is? How many PCNs per year are we talking about, actually?
It depends a little bit on how you count it. So
let's say semiconductor industry.
We talk about thousands, 100,000s, even more. It depends a little bit on. So I mean, we know about at least 5,000 to 10,000 PCNs that at least we see as when we convert, or my former company converts them to Smart-PCN datasets. But you know, if you look at the websites of some database companies, they tell you millions. Well, it's very simple how they do it. I mean, if you count every part as one PCN, then you come to that number. But you have to see that there are a lot of PCNs that cover, I mean, the largest I know, 120,000 part numbers.
Wow.
So it's a PCN with 2,000 pages. I mean, just imagine to process those pages manually.
But how is it possible? 120,000 parts in one PCN? Is it product families or variations?
Yes, that's product families, and then bring in all the part numbers that are related to this one. In addition, you have PCNs where a manufacturer tells you, well, this is a series of products that start with an X or an Y or an R or an S, whatever, and everything that starts with an S is affected.
Okay.
So you even don't know the part numbers. Now, the nice thing is that within Smart-PCN, you are allowed to use wildcards. So you are able really to specify a specific structure, or even to say, well, it's an T and then an asterisk, and that means everything from this manufacturer works then. And then with the tools, of course, you are able to match those numbers with your part numbers that you use for production.
Okay, so Smart-PCN could be expected maybe in 2 to 3 years as a global standard, and the managing organization would be IEC, correct?
Yes, the managing organization for this standard is the IEC.
Excellent. So let's do a little exercise. I'd like to understand how the process actually works. Let's take a Smart-PCN through the supply chain. It starts from a manufacturer and goes through via a distributor to a customer. So how is the actual process? The manufacturer releases a Smart-PCN in what kind of form, and how is it then pulled through the entire supply chain? How would that work? Can you run us through the process?
Yes, I think that's very easy to understand. So just imagine you have a chip, and there's a change or even a discontinuation, and then this is sent by a Smart-PCN to a PCB maker. So they make these printed circuit boards, and they put the chip on it. So they receive it, and because it's digital and machine readable, they can immediately tell, okay, this is the changes. Maybe there's a change, they have another one, they have an alternative, they put it on. So what they would do, they would create a new Smart-PCN with the changes, saying, well, this is the old chip, that's the new chip. Now, in order to prove that there's a change from in particular when it's a change from the manufacturer, they are able to attach or to include the first PCN into the Smart-PCN they send to their customers. So this customer would have the possibility to look at this PCN to see, okay, these are the changes. Do we have to change something with the test and things like this? And they combine it together with the information they get from the PCB manufacturer. Now suppose that this company is doing a kind of a control unit. So they would then have to adapt their control unit to the changes or to the replacements that have been attached. So they would create the next PCN. And maybe this PCN then is going to a manufacturer that supports products for the to build airplanes.
Okay. Almost sounds like a blockchain process.
It looks like a blockchain process, but it is not a blockchain process because it depends on how you define the blockchain and use it. But it's a kind of a sequential process. And the good thing is you are able to just pick the information that you need to create a smart PCN for the next level. And you have the possibility to include parts of the smart PCN or even the complete PCN that you received into the next level that you sent forward.
Okay.
So you would have a complete, I mean, in particular in those industries where you have really the full transparency what you do with your products, they would definitely welcome the possibility that they have the full transparency by having those different stages within the manufacturer covered by the related PCNs.
So, for example, medical,
aircraft, railway. I mean, railway companies, they are using Smart PCN.
Okay.
And also their customer requested because they have to do all the qualification. And you have even sections within a Smart PCN that allow you to add all the qualification documents and qualification and testing information into it. So it's not just saying, well, we discontinue this or we change that one. You are able to provide all the related documents and everything with it. It's absolutely powerful. And I think that's also quite interesting. It's not just for the electronic industry. So Smart PCN is completely agnostic to the industry. You could use it for everything. You could use it for chemical substances. You can use it for any kind of material, for documents, even for services. So you would be able to use a Smart PCN to announce the change or the discontinuation of a specific service that you offer. So everything is possible with this, and we have spent a lot of work, a lot of work and a lot of thoughts how to make it applicable for the different industries.
Yeah, we spoke quite a couple of times about it, but let's get back to the electronics industry, because this is really where I'm coming from and what most of my contacts on LinkedIn are interested in. So how is the involvement of the semiconductor or the components manufacturers in helping define that smart PCN standard? The reason why I'm asking is simple. Whenever I'm going to a meeting, COG or IIOM, I find very, very few manufacturers and also admittedly distributors who are actively participating here.
Yes, and I think it's a kind of a problem because, what I believe is that the manufacturers really do not recognize the pain that the users have and their customers have when there are changes. And there are a lot of companies, they make a total secret of what they do regarding changes and discontinuation. So they may whisper it to some people and to the others not. And while other companies, they just provide it on the internet, which is good, but then you would have to read it. Others, they send out it as an email, things like this. So there are a lot of different ways, but it's still the case that manufacturers do not recognize the pain that the customers have in processing all those PCNs. They always think, I am the one and this is my format and you can work with this. And they do not recognize that this poor customer that uses or buys a lot of products, they receive a lot of different PCNs from different sources. So, I mean, that's the point why we are so much working towards an international, a global standard provided by IEC, because then, the customers, and we have really large organizations also state organizations or public organizations, they say, we need this because this would help us tremendously in doing it. And again, if we have this international standard, then all the customers, even large customers and powerful customers, they are able to say, well, this is our procurement contract, and this procurement contract, you see, we request the Smart-PCN.
Yeah. So I did a little video blog recently on Sourceability's website, and that's exactly what I said. So the manufacturers and also the distributors, they need to recognize and acknowledge that they are part of the problem and also need to be part of the solution. So
yes,
let me look at the actual obsolescence process, not from an information perspective, but from a components perspective. So far, what we have is manufacturers are offering last time buys, or they are selling out die banks, wafer banks, whatever, to companies like Flip and Rochester. So the current process is really that specialists like Flip or Rochester or maybe others are picking up the PC, let's say the obsolescence crumbles from manufacturers. Is that an ideal process, or can you envisage that this whole last time buy and obsolescence at the real part level could be done differently or more customer friendly? So not to say anything against Flip and Rochester, I think they make an excellent job in really picking up the most critical parts, but is this really an ideal process that two specialists are basically handling the entire obsolescence obsolete parts for the rest of the components world, or do you think that there should be a different or a wider process to handle that?
Well, actually, that's a little bit difficult to answer for me because I'm not in those industries. But the thing is the following. I think, first of all, we have to look from the business side, from the manufacturer. And there's a reason why they discontinue products. And in most cases, it's just a business. Because the product is it's anymore not profitable, and even they are how would I say? I mean, they are also impacted by obsolescence because, for example, if the wafers are no more available or if the machines are no more available, things like this, then of course they have to think, okay, what do we do? And then they have to bring those parts to a new technology, even to a new manufacturer technology. And this means, of course, they have to decide which of those parts that I produce by today I will bring over. So I think the best thing would be if they would announce this early enough to say, well, 1 year ahead or maybe even 2 years ahead, and we have companies, they do this. They tell the community, look, we will discontinue this product in 1 year. And you have now the possibility to buy those parts. And of course, then everybody can decide what to do. So also distributors are able to decide, okay, we know that this is a part that runs very good, and therefore we just buy them. We put in on stock because we know there will be demand for those parts. And I'm in principle, when we have standards like Smart-PCN digital standard, this would also allow to process them with AI-based tools in order to see much earlier and much easier, okay, what to do. And those tools could also maybe provide suggestions to say, well, this is a part that is used worldwide in so many businesses, so it would be good to stock them. Yeah, but at the end, it's a business decision. It's a business decision of the manufacturer. It's a business decision of each distributor. And it's also business decisions then of Flip and Rochester and all those companies, how to deal with it.
Well, as you know, Sourceability, so the company that I'm working for, is working on digital tools to help engineers already early in the design phase to identify risks that are incurred by obsolescence. So there are efforts going on the data side, on the information side, that will support the whole lost time buy and obsolescence process at the physical or at the information exchange level. But I think it's still a while until AI will be able to help you in a really reliable way. Like, for example, you ask a chatbot, hey, can you tell me if this component will go obsolete in any foreseeable time frame? That may actually take a while until the chatbot can give you a more reliable answer. But I think that was a great conversation. Thank you very much. Just maybe one final message. So if there is one message that you could leave to the industry with regards to obsolescence and the way how to handle it, what would be that message? So Wolfgang Heinbach telling the industry, hey guys, let's talk about obsolescence, and this is my message to you.
Okay, so first of all, don't underestimate the impact and the costs of obsolescence at your customers. Support the industry by providing timely, accurate, and digital PCNs, and make them more available for everyone.
Excellent. Wolfgang, I thank you very much for the conversation.